So this is still 7.1. We're gonna do that 2 examples, then we're gonna jump to 7.2. So we're gonna do the same thing. So 1 sine square x is cosine square x. What about cosecant square x minus 1? Equal what? After the rules. Cotangent square x. Now, let's check. I can't do anything with the cosine, so this is cosine square x over. What about cotangent? I write down cotangent as what? Cotangent as well.
Cosine squared x over sine squared x.
Cosine square x over sine square x. This is division. So I'm going to say this is cosine square x times, take the reciprocal for the second part. So it's sine square x over cosine square x. Now I'm going to cancel this one with this one. What's the left? Sine square x. So I simplify this expression to sine square x. And I multiply only in this case. You see, I can't do anything with the bottom part. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to multiply by the opposite sign here, which is we're going to always rationalize this part. So I'm going to say 1 plus sine y, and here 1 plus sine y. That's only when you have like this example. So let's check. On the top part, I'm not going to multiply this one times 1 and this one times sine y. I'm just going to write down cosine square y and give 1 plus sine y. Okay, let's check what's going to happen on the bottom part here when I multiply these two. Write down the step 1 minus sine y and 1 plus sine y. This one is going to be equal. On the top, cosine square y, 1 plus sine y. I'm going to keep exactly the same thing. Over. On the bottom part, I'm going to distribute these two together. 1 times 1 is going to be 1. 1 times sine y, sine y. Now, -1 times 1, negative sine y, times 1, negative sine y. Negative sine y times sine y, it's going to be negative sine square y. Can I cancel these? What's the left here? This one, cosine square y, 1 plus sine y over 1 minus sine square y. Yes or no? Now, sine 1 minus sine square of y is what? Cosine square of y. That's mean it's going to be cosine square y, 1 plus sine y over cosine square of y. Cancel these. Now the result is going to be 1 plus sine square of y. That's it. So this is section 7.2. We're going to do the same thing, but now they're going to ask you, prove the left side equal the right side. That's mean I need to prove the addition between these two is equal to secant x. In this case, I'm going to start from this side, and I'm going to keep going until I reach the other side. That's mean this is my goal. My goal is to get 2 secant x. So I'm going to write down this side first, which is mean cosine x over 1 plus sine x plus 1 plus sine x over cosine x. Now we have addition between two rational. If you have addition between two fractions, how are you going to add these two fractions? With different denominators. Is that the same one here? No, with different denominators, right? How are we going to add these two? It's look like a fraction. Don't worry about sine, cosine. How are we going to add these two fractions? We have to get the same. Have to get the same denominator, right? If you have 1 over 2 plus 5 over 3, how are we going to add these two fractions? I need to get the same denominator, so I'm going to multiply here 1 over 2 times plus 5 over 3, and I'm going to multiply here by 2. So it's going to be 3 over 6. You're going to add 10 over 6. Now, can I add? Yes, it's going to be 13 over 6. I'm going to do the same thing here. 1 plus sine x, and I have cosine x here. So I'm going to multiply this side by cosine x. And I'm going to multiply this side by 1 plus sine x. So I can get the same denominators. So I'm going to say, here's the first side. I'm going to do, here's the next step. So here's the first side. I'm going to say cosine x over. Here's 1 plus sine x. I'm going to multiply by what? By cosine x, cosine x. Here's the plus sign. I'm going to write down the second one, 1 plus sine x over cosine x. Then this one I'm going to multiply by what? This is the second side. I'm going to multiply by you don't know. Now, is the same thing here. That's mean for the first part here, cosine times cosine is going to be cosine square x. On the bottom part, I don't have to multiply these. Just I'm going to write down cosine x, parentheses 1 plus sine x. So I'm going to say here's cosine x, 1 plus sine x. Here's the plus sign. For the second part, the same thing. These two parentheses, 1 plus sine x, 1 plus sine x, over. I'm going to write down cosine x, 1 plus sine x. Now here's my goal. I have the same denominator. Now can I add? Yes or no? But don't forget, you have to distribute here. Let's check the next step. What's here? Look. Cosine square x. And here is cosine x, 1 plus sine x. There's cosine plus. I'm going to distribute here. 1 times 1, going to be 1 plus 1 times sine x. Sine x times 1 plus sine x times sine x. It's going to be plus sine square x. Yes or no? Now here's the important thing. Can I combine these together? So it's going to be 2 sine x. Here's the next step. It's going to be cosine square x plus 1 plus 2 sine x plus sine square x over cosine x 1 plus sine x. Now, who's gonna tell me the next step? This is addition, okay? Sine square, cosine square x plus sine square x equal what? Equal 1. That means this one, I added to this one, the result is going to be 1, because sine square, there's a rule that says sine square x plus cosine square x equal 1. So I'm going to use this one. That's mean so now cosine square x plus sine square x is going to be 1. That means the left is, here's the 1 plus 1 plus 2 sine x over cosine x 1 plus sine x. Yes or no? Now 1 plus 1, I can add these together at the same term. So it's going to be 2 plus 2 sine x over cosine x 1 plus sine x. Now tell me, what's the next step? Again, my goal is to get secant. My goal is to get 2 secant x. Secant, I already know it's 1 over cosine. So that's mean I have to keep this cosine. How I'm gonna cancel 1 plus sine x. Look to the top part. Is there a common between 2 and 2 sine x? Factor out the 2. Here is the 2. What's the left? 1 plus sine x. Here is cosine x. 1 plus sine x. Can I cancel now these? So now what's the left? 2 over cosine x. Now my goal is to get what? 2 secant. So is that the same thing? 2 times 1 over cosine x? Yes or no? 1 over cosine is what? Secant. So 2 secant x. Okay? Yes. Tangent. We already know that tangent of an x is equal sine of an x over cosine. Yes or no? And cotangent is the opposite of the tangent, cosine x over sine x. And also we have tangent equal 1 over cotangent x. Yes or no? You see? These, did we took these 3 rules? So now, which one you want to use? Because you're gonna solve it, okay? So it's up to you. Both ways going to be right. Now tell me, you want to use this one or this one or this one?
1 over cotangent?
You want to use this one? Okay. That's mean you said I'm gonna use, instead of tangent, I'm gonna put 1 over cotangent x times, I'm gonna keep this one equal 1. I cancel these. Is 1 equal 1? Did I get the second side? That's my goal. My goal is to get the right side. Is that hard? Now tell me, how are we gonna solve this one? We need to prove that 1 minus sine x, 1 plus sine x equal cosine square x. I need to prove this side equal this one. So I'm gonna focus here. My goal is to get what? Cosine. And how am I gonna solve this one? I'm gonna work on this side. I'm gonna tell me. Distribute. That's the only thing because it's multiplication between two parentheses. I'm gonna say 1 times 1 is going to be 1. 1 times sine going to be sine x. Now negative sine times 1 sine x, negative sine times sine, negative sine square x. Yes or no? So always I'm gonna start from the left side. And on the left side, and my goal is to get equal to the right side. Now can I cancel these? Yes. What's the left? 1 minus sine square x. 1 minus sine square x is what? Cosine square x. Cosine square x. You see? You got equal side. So now we need to prove 3 cosine square x minus 3 sine square x. We need to prove that is equal 6 cosine x minus 3. So always I'm gonna start from this side, and my goal is to get the other side. I'm gonna say, okay. 3, let's start from this side, cosine square x minus 3 sine square x. This one equal 1. Think about that. Check the result. Exists what in the result? Exists cosine. Right? So we have to convert the sine to cosine. Because my result here, the other side, it will only cosine. That means there is no sine. Now look here. Do I have common between this one and this one? There is a common, which is 3. Take the 3 out. So here's, I'm gonna say, here's the 3. What's the left? Cosine square x minus sine square x. I'm gonna keep this 3 out. Now, next step. Look to this side. I have cosine. So what I need to do here, convert this one to cosine. Think about that. We'll give you a minute. What are you gonna do with the sine to convert it to cosine? Go back to the rules. We have one of the rules. It says sine square x plus cosine square x equal 1. Yes or no? Now I need to convert the sine to cosine, so I get only cosine. What I'm going to do? I'm going to use this rule. If I keep the sine square x equal what? Move the cosine to the other side. Is that 1 minus cosine square x? Now, can I plug in instead of the sine 1 minus cosine square? So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to plug in instead of this one. That means here's 3. Here's the cosine square x. Here's the minus. Don't forget there's a minus. I'm going to open another parenthesis. And instead of sine square x, I'm going to put 1 minus cosine square x. Close the parentheses. And here is the second one. Let's keep going. Can I distribute the negative sign? Can I distribute the negative sign? There's negative sign for everything here. So I'm going to distribute the negative sign. So here's the 3 cosine square x, negative times 1, negative 1. Negative times negative, Now tell me, what's the next step? Can I add these together? Cosine square, cosine square. So I can add these together. That means going to be 3 2 cosine square x minus 1. Go back. If you distribute the 3, how much is going to be the result? 3 times 2, 6 cosine square x, 3 times 1. Is that the same thing here? So we got the right side. All right. Okay. So this one, I'm gonna multiply by what? By cotangent. So I'm gonna say, okay, if I took this side, 2 over tangent x, I'm gonna multiply by cotangent x and cotangent x. Plus, can I do the same thing here? 2 over cotangent x, but I'm going to multiply by tan x over tan x. Now let's see what we got. On the top, we got 2 cotangent x. And on the bottom, we got tangent x cotangent x. Plus, here, what we got? Okay, it's the same thing. So now the next step is going to be, I will have the same denominator. That's mean it's going to be 2 cotangent x plus 2 tangent x over, let's say cotangent x tangent x. Okay, we still, our goal is to find this side. I already have the same side here, but instead of 2 tangent, I have 2 cotangent, which is okay. Now, how are we gonna cancel these? Remember, we have tangent x equal what? 1 over cotangent x. That's me. Can I plug in here 1 over cotangent? That's me. It's going to be 2 cotangent x plus 2 tangent x over cotangent times the tangent is 1 over cotangent x. Now cancel these. What's the left here? 1. Actually, the result is going to be 2 cotangent x plus 2 tangent x, which is
You're left with
so. Here's the thing.
2,
We're gonna start from this side.
and when you go back to
Cotangent square x over
squared equals 1,
2
times
secant
that.
x. So what I'm going to do, cotangent is what? Cosine square x over sine square x. 2 cosecant is 1 over 1 sine x. That means this one is going to be equal, here is cosine square x over sine square x 2 times 1, 2 over sine x. Now it's the division between two fractions. So I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna write down cosine square x over sine square x times sine over 2. So it's become
Squared X.
to be sine over x.
Something.
How many sine do I have here?
Sure, there's one here, but I need to. Try not messing.
So the left on the top is cosine square x over 2 sine x. Cosine is 1 minus sine square x divided by 2 sine x. I'm gonna ask you, can you cancel the sine from the top, the sine from the bottom? Who said no? That's good. Yes, you can't. You can't cancel these because there's a minus here. Okay, so you can't cancel this 9 with this one. So, and this is the right side. Let's check another one.
Even with the 2 in the front?
I just didn't put the mic.
The key, hold on.
That kind of messed everything.
So 2 secant. Yeah, work on this side, okay? 2 secant, here is the 2. The secant is 1 over cosine. Yes or no? And again, there is more than one way to solve it. There is the minus
Number 2. This
2 cosine. Okay, now the cosine, can I write down the cosine of the cosine over 1? Okay? Don't overthink it.
thing over here.
2, can I write down 2 over cosine? Yes or no? Now tell me, I need to get this common denominator. What am I gonna do here?
Like cosine.
Cosine x. I multiply this one by cosine x.
That's what you have.
That means it's going to be 2 over cosine x
Do it.
minus
Yeah.
2
Gotta be.
cosine what?
Squared X.
Over x over.
Cosine X.
Now, do I have the same denominator? Okay. Next step. That means on the top is going to be 2 minus 2 cosine square x over cosine x. Yes or no? The same denominator, I can say 2 minus cosine square x. Yes or no? What's the next step? Can I check the 2? Can I take the 2 as a common? So 2, what's the left? 1 minus cosine square x over.
Yeah.
What's the next step? 1 minus cosine square x is what?
It's supposed to be an alpha.
What?
Great.
It's what?
Sine X.
Yes, that's our goal. We need the sign here. So it's going to be 2 sine square to the x over cosine x. Now what's the next step? Almost, I have 2 sine here on the top. I need only 1.
So tangent equals sine. Tangent equals
Tangent of cosine over cosine.
cosine.
So now, how many sine do I have here?
2.
So here's 2, here is sine. And here is the other sine. Yes or no? And here is the cosine. Is that right? Sine times sine is going to be sine square. Now sine over cosine is what?
Tangent.
So it's going to be 2 tangent x sine x. Is that the other sine? Yes or no?